Thank you, Mr. President. Your Excellencies, esteemed student officers, distinguished guests and MUN directors, honorable delegates, and valued admins. I would like to wish you a warm welcome to this year's annual THIMUN conference. Maxima Acuña is not the first name that comes to mind when thinking about borders. For many of you, this name is unfamiliar. Maxima is a 46-year-old Peruvian farmer who has dedicated the past 5 years of her life to defend her Tragadero Grande lands. These are vital lands, not only for agriculture, but they are her ancestral mountains and lakes. However, currently, they're facing exploitation by mining companies. For Maxima, borders represent the respect and protection needed to be given to her lands. To strive towards maintaining and protecting the environment of her lands led her to win the Golden Prize. In her own words, "I may be poor, I may be illiterate, but I know that our mountains and our lakes are our vital treasures." Nonetheless, we ask ourselves, what are borders? Borders are many things. Visible and physical barriers, invisible, only seen legally or within a particular social context. For most of my generation, brought up in a post-Cold War era, the concept of borders has signified something different than to our elders. In 1945, there were 2 walls in the world. After the Cold War, there were 15 walls in the world, and currently, there are over 45. We bring ourselves to question whether borders are bureaucratic impediments or a necessity like water. Nonetheless, together we observe our rapidly changing current reality. Perhaps I cannot tell you whether borders are right nor wrong, but we can approach them through various means. Geographically, after all, the world is divided into countries containing individual languages, cultures, and resources. Thematically, because after all, there are different kinds of walls. Political walls, like Israel-Palestine, Pakistan-India, the 2 Koreas. Religious walls, the Catholics and Protestants in Belfast. Or economic walls, linked with migration, the European Schengen zone, and Africa, and now USA and Mexico more than ever. Therefore, the impending wall being built in 2017 isn't the only thing that makes this a relevant topic of discussion. Nonetheless, the use of borders has radically adapted itself with the evolution of globalization. Globalization can be defined as the integration of people and nations, and in the last few years, the evolution of technology has played a significant role. Now we desire change, and we desire for change to be fast-paced. And globalization brings across both good and bad influences to borders. Here in Europe, we see a direct result with the Schengen zone. And globalization calls for the necessity of cybersecurity, economic interests, and environments. But it also leads to effects like socioeconomic inequality due to existing borders, but also to a 60% drop of wildlife due to lack of borders. Yet what I value the most is the increased inability for dialogue between youth like us, so that I, as a young woman from both Spain and Colombia, can speak in the Netherlands to an audience made up of individuals from all around the world. Perhaps borders are innately neither good nor bad, but borders are a complex issue that can only be resolved through dialogue. This week, you will be hosted by the city of The Hague, and you will see a juxtaposition of realities. Recognized worldwide as a city of peace and justice, while discussing it, it is almost a taboo to consider the invisible line formed at the center between neighborhoods like Schilderswijk of primarily foreign descent that are known for police brutality and societal tensions, contrasting with neighborhoods like Stadtquartier, filled with privileged expats, groups that don't interact with each other. So tensions exist, and tensions are relevant, even in seemingly idyllic places. Globalization raises various questions. One is how to approach the current contradiction between globalization that urges for an open platform of communication, travels, and exchanges, and the current rise of nationalism, not only based on racist rhetoric, but genuine labor concerns, along with a strong will to close borders in order to maintain national cultural identity. Where do you fix the balance between these two elements? Borders are met differently depending on who you are, and are transformative according to their context, intention, and societal role. Many of you have traveled all across the globe to be here, flying over from Singapore, from the US, and many other places. And in your cases, the only borders that you've had to pass have been passport control. Yet for others, borders can represent a stronghold of their vulnerability and lack of protection as they attempt to escape or survive their current realities. If the complexity of this issue hasn't been illustrated, I hope that I have established the contemporary relevance of this topic to everyone here. Perhaps, yes, it is impossible for me to tell you whether borders are right nor wrong. However, this will be a speech that champions the necessity for dialogue in order to ensure that regardless of what side of a border you stand on, our sense of humanity should prevail. Our human decency should be maintained. Our core human rights must be honored. We are at a decisive point in time, and the only way we can approach this is through dialogue. THIMUN gives people the opportunity to engage with individuals from different parts of the world, to develop together our sense of unity. But as today's youth, let us not forget the reality that not everyone can engage in dialogue, that borders exist even between modern nations too. So borders can be silence. But let there not be silence in your dialogue. Instead, let there be negotiation, and let there be difficult questions asked among yourselves. Although this is a difficult, fast-paced topic, do not let yourself be frightened by its scope, or by its scope, but be engaged, be motivated, be the change. Thank you. I yield my time.